I waited for my BF to propose to me for 25 years, but when he finally does it, I tell him to. I was 54 and my life was a museum of waiting. Each year, a dusty exhibit of hope deferred. James, my boyfriend of 25 years, had promised me forever, but never sealed it with a ring. Until that night on the beach, when he finally knelt, and I said no. It began in our 20s, when love was a wildfire that burned away doubt. James was a dreamer, a painter with a laugh that could light up a room. I was a librarian, content in the quiet order of books, but his chaos swept me away. We met at a community art fair, where he spilled paint on my shoes and apologized with a lopsided grin. By the end of that summer, we were inseparable, sharing dreams over cheap coffee and late-night walks. He'd talk about a future, our house by the sea, kids running through the yard, a life painted in bold strokes. One day, Anna, he'd say, I'll make it official. I believed him. Years slipped by like pages in a book I couldn't stop reading. At 30, I started noticing the engagements around me, friends posting ring photos, planning weddings, starting families. I'd smile, congratulate them, then go home and wait for James to bring it up. He never did. Instead, he'd paint another canvas, take another commission, or lose himself in some new project. Timing's not right, he'd say, eyes avoiding mine. We're happy, aren't we? And I was, mostly. So I nodded, tucked my dreams away, and kept waiting. By 35, the questions from family grew sharper. When's he going to propose? My mother asked at every holiday dinner. I'd laugh it off, but each time, it stung. James and I were still U.S. movie nights, shared playlists, quiet mornings. But the weight of unspoken promises grew heavier. I'd catch myself staring at jewelry store windows, imagining a ring on my finger, a vow to anchor us. I hinted, gently at first, then bolder. What are we waiting for? I'd ask. He'd smile, kiss my forehead, and say, soon, Anna, I just need to be ready. I convinced myself he meant it. At 40, I stopped hinting. I started planning. I saved for a house, thinking maybe stability would nudge him. We bought a small cottage near the coast, just like he dreamed. I thought it was a step toward forever, but James filled the house with easels, not promises. He'd paint late into the night, lost in his world, while I lay awake, wondering if I was enough. Friends told me to leave, to demand more. But love is a stubborn thing, and I'd built my life around him. Leaving felt like tearing out my own roots. The years blurred. At 45, I faced a health scare, a lump that turned out benign but shook me awake. Life wasn't infinite. I sat James down, voice trembling, and told him I needed a commitment. He held my hand, eyes soft, and said, I love you, Anna. Isn't that enough? It wasn't, but I stayed. I told myself love was patient, that he'd come around. I buried my hurt in routine work, gardening, book club while the world moved on. Couples we knew grew old together, their vows etched in gold bands. I wore my hope like a bruise, hidden but tender. By 50, I'd stopped expecting. I found peace in small things, the smell of rain on our porch, the way my cat curled against me, the novels I escaped into. James was still James, charming, distracted, painting his way through life. We were comfortable, like an old couch, worn but familiar. I thought I'd made peace with it. I thought I'd let go of the ring, the dress, the vows. But deep down, a part of me still waited, a quiet ache that never faded. Then came that evening, 2 weeks before my 55th birthday. James suggested a walk on the beach, his voice nervous in a way I hadn't heard before. The sky was a blaze of orange and purple, waves whispering secrets to the shore. He stopped, took my hand, and dropped to one knee. My heart lurched, a jolt of disbelief. He pulled out a ring, simple but beautiful, and said, Anna, I've loved you forever. Will you marry me? The world slowed. 25 years flashed before me, every late-night talk, every dodged question, every moment I'd waited. I saw the girl I was at 29, hopeful and patient. I saw the woman at 40 pleading for more. I saw myself at 54 standing on this beach, holding a ring that came too late. My eyes stung, not with joy, but with clarity. I loved him. I always would, but I couldn't say yes. James, I said, my voice steady despite the tears. No. His face crumpled, shock replacing hope. Why, he whispered. I took a breath, the sea air sharp in my lungs. Because I spent 25 years waiting for you to choose me fully, and I can't spend the rest of my life wondering if you ever will. I closed the ring box, pressed it into his hand, and walked away, the waves swallowing his stunned silence. The days after were raw. James tried to talk, to explain, but I needed space. I moved into a small apartment, just me and my books. Friends called it brave. I called it survival. I wasn't leaving love. I was choosing myself. For the first time in decades, I felt free, like I'd reclaimed the years I'd given away. I started painting, not like James, but my own way, bold colors, messy strokes, a canvas of my own making. James and I still talk sometimes. He's trying to understand, to grow. Maybe one day we'll find a new way to be us, but I'm not waiting anymore. I'm living for me, for the woman I've become, for the years I have left. Love is beautiful, but it's not enough if it asks you to shrink. I choose to grow. What do you think? Was Anna right to walk away? Or should she have said yes after all those years? Share your thoughts. There's no right or wrong, only perspective. And T.